So, welcome, Peter. We're so excited to talk to you today.
No, I'm super excited to be here, Laura. And yes, it's amazing to actually say, yeah, I'm Peter Sage.
Yeah,
I'm the only one in the room that was grateful to go to prison. It sounds surreal.
it is, right? It is. Thank you for just stating that at the top because it's it's something that was difficult for me to absorb. Um, I start out by asking everyone how they identify. How do you identify, Peter?
In terms of who I am,
And who you are? Some people use pronouns. Some people talk about race or gender
nice.
or just their role in life.
I'm a divine and guided soul who acts as an open channel to God's wisdom, a powerful agent of positive change who was born to reveal the greatness in others.
Yes. I love it. And I love that just rolled right off your tongue there. Um, all right. So you were the only nonviolent criminal in the UK's most violent prison. And
That's
then,
the
so this is
yeah.
what I just want to kind of set this up. Okay. January 2017, you were held in contempt of court for a civil matter, sentenced to 18 months. And you were sent to Pentonville, which is widely recognized as one of the most dangerous prisons in the UK. And in your book, The Inside Track, The Ultimate Guide to Conquering Adversity, you published 11 letters that you wrote and shared in real time with members of your coaching group. The first one is called The Adventure Begins. The last one is called The Final Stretch. Um, so, just briefly, I just want to talk a little bit about what your life looked like before you went in. I don't want to spend too much time there. But you said that you went from mentoring businessmen to transforming the lives of prisoners, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
My background is kind of twofold. One has been entrepreneur for the last, 3 decades. I've been unemployable since I left school, and essentially just a business guy entrepreneur. That's how I predominantly identify. But I've always been into personal growth, personal development, and so it made sense at one point to combine the two and became a coach and a business coach and a coach for understanding human behavior. And as a result, I built a business around that. And at the time when I was founding Contempt, what happened was I was doing multiple six figures a week in, sorry, 6 figures a month in revenue. I had 50 plus staff. I was top of my game. I was running some of the best seminars ranked in the world for my 3 day
Mm.
business school. And we were just about to really explode and scale. And it was an exciting time. It really was. And I had this pesky little civil action lawsuit that was kind of, gnawing at me. And I literally turned around to my staff and said, "Hey, I've just got to pop into court next week and get rid of this BS that's been hanging around." And yeah, didn't expect the result that happened.
Wow. How common is it for someone to be sent to prison for contempt of court in the
Exceptionally
UK?
rare. And if it is, it's
Exceptionally
normally
rare.
for a night or maybe a week if they really upset the judge. Yeah, it's
Right.
contempt is normally if you disrespect the court from the public gallery and shout abuse or something like that. And this case was kind of engineered by a multi-billion-dollar firm who should probably rename nameless as Hewlett Packard. And when it comes to when it comes to picking fights, don't pick a fight with a $140 billion company with a $100 million ruthless law firm behind it. They know how to play the game, and
Mm.
I didn't see it coming. I thought it'd get thrown out of court. I didn't give it any credence. I didn't understand exactly how the court system works. And I think many entrepreneurs will find out or already understand if they've walked that path that litigation is a tool. It's got nothing to do with who's right or
Mm.
wrong. When it comes to business, litigation is a tool. It's a chess move on a chessboard. And they were very good players, and I got outmaneuvered, and they sold it to the judge, and I never came home.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible. And so then it's the same because here in the US, you would be sent maybe for a night or two if you were held in contempt, but not to prison. I've not heard of that. So if it's happened here, it's rare as well. You call yourself a secret agent of change, and in the book, here's what I was tripping off of. In your book, your demeanor, just like it is right now, is so remarkable, right? You're lighthearted, like almost feckless as you're walking in there. And you're so relaxed that as you're entering prison, people mistake you for an undercover officer or a copper, like you say.
Yeah.
I, I, so how? Tell me about that. Tell me about you getting this sentence, which most people would be like completely in shock over, and then walking in there completely at ease or seemingly at ease.
Well, I think you touched on a key principle, Laura, earlier about identity. How do you identify yourself? And from my side, yeah, it's important that identity is such a factor because it's the governing force in human behavior. How do we
Mm.
identify ourselves? And so when we do that, what happens is we choose um, who we see ourselves as. You know, a vegetarian doesn't eat meat not because they have different teeth. A vegetarian doesn't eat meat because they identify as a vegetarian. The reasons they choose
Mm.
can be personal. But I knew if I identified myself as a prisoner, then that would immediately put me into victim mode, into resentment mode, into helplessness mode, anger, or all of that stuff. And it was pointless because you can't change what has already happened. So instead, what I did was I chose to become a secret agent of change. And that identity empowered me because I knew I was there for a reason. You know, I've spent the last
Mm.
25 years helping people. And yeah, I'm a great believer that you should be able to walk your talk. You know, if you're a health coach, expect a health challenge so you can demonstrate that you know what you're doing. If you're a relationship coach, expect a relationship challenge so you can demonstrate that what you teach works. Otherwise,
Mm.
you know, what's the point? So for me, I've spent 2.5 decades. You know, I've worked alongside Tony Robbins for 15 years as an experienced trainer. You know, if I can't be able to walk into a place where, you know, most of the people are, yeah, are in a place where they need that level of support. Yeah, if I'm shining my light, why not shine it in the darkest place? I mean, I saw it as a gift.
Mm. That's amazing. I love that idea that you're going to get challenged by the things that you put yourself into. Like relationship coach will be challenged by relationships. It reminds me of that thing where people say like you ask for patience and you get into a traffic jam on your way somewhere. Like
Yep,
you are immediately given the not the tools to overcome it, but you're put in situations where you learn those tools. You're not given them. You have to learn them or go
correct.
through them. So before you even get to your cell, as you're kind of entering this new system, you meet a man called Jamie.
Hmm.
I was wondering if you could just tell me about him and your encounter with him. This is while you're still being processed, right?
Yeah, I'm in the waiting room, and again, I'm seeing things that I'd only ever seen on TV. I've got no, yeah, way of being able to. I'm trial by fire, kind of learning on the fly. But one thing that working with Tony did give me was something called high levels of sensory acuity. I'm learning or I'm registering everything that's going on. I'm taking as much data as I can. I'm watching body language. I'm the physical stuff. I'm watching voice tonality, breathing patterns, hierarchical dynamics around posturing and significance and ego, and who's more the victim, who's the natural pecking order. And there was this kid called Jamie who was there, who was probably, I don't know, maybe late 20s, something like that, early 30s, and got a goatee, bald head, and very loud, very self-opinionated, clearly a career criminal. I think it was his fifth time or so he'd been inside. And
Mm.
he'd been transferred from another prison that day. He was already part way through a sentence. So he was in the processing room as well with probably about a dozen or two others. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to get to work and go and go make a difference. And so being able to navigate that and being able to wait for an opportunity, and I was listening, and he was talking about his son and how the worst thing about prison is that he was missing his son and he was very resentful, and that the food was terrible, which I can vouch for, and he'd want to could start he'd always want to start his own deli because he could cook better. And I saw an opening. He sort of took a pause of breath and says, "Hey, Mask, buddy, how old's your son?" Oh, it's a calm, non-threatening question that was directed about him. And he sort of paused, looked at me. He'd been talking to the coach. He's gone, "Oh," says, "Oh, he's like 3.5." And then I says, "Oh," I says, and I started just building a conversation around how proud his son would be about when his dad got out of prison and built that deli. Because what an example a
Mm.
parent could show to their kid that they could come out and turn adversity around. And his eyes lit up. He says, "You really think I could do it?" says, the way you're talking about how passionate it is, and say, I'm sure the food would be a damn sight better than in here. And we started laughing, and then we just started chatting. And this is in front of 20 odd prisoners. They're all listening in as well. And I was being mindful of my language on how I could inspire other people by them listening in third party. And it was the first kind of intervention I'd done within an hour of being there.
Well, there are so many things that are incredible about that encounter to me. But the first is that I'm just picturing myself. And, I haven't been in that situation, but I can only imagine that if I were in processing going into prison, I would be thinking about myself primarily. And if I were assessing anyone, it would be for threat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone around me, it would be just threat level. Like, is this person going to hurt me? Is this person going to hurt me? And it sounds to me like you're walking in there thinking about everybody else and assessing them not just for threat level, but for how you can be of service, basically. Like, or if there's an opportunity for you to be of service. Would you say that's correct?
100%. And it's not because I'm a capable fighter or I'm tough or anything like that. Far from it. Yeah, it's because I had a belief that said I was sent there to serve. I was there for a reason, and if I'm there for a reason, the universe is going to take care of me. If I'm being put forward, I'm not there to horse trade. I'm not there to position. I'm not looking to jockey anybody's position out of the social hierarchy in the jungle of prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm there to add value and ask for nothing in return. And I was almost like a secret agent of change on a mission to help. And people started to sense that. And especially when the conversation after a couple of sentences usually got a little bit deeper than the average, what was on frickin' TV that night in the cell, or
Yeah.
some stupid soap opera or whatever it may be, or some resentful victimhood based mentality. People could tell that I was a little different. And
Mm.
again, you've got to be mindful. It's not a case of being complacent. This was,
Right.
again, I wasn't just the most non-violent criminal. I was the only non-criminal, full stop. I'd never been charged or
Wow.
accused of a crime. I've never been, I still don't have a criminal record. I've never been found guilty. It's not even the police knew that I was in prison. This is a civil action. And so, I was not segregated. Because prison's not set up for civil prisoners. They didn't have any. So I'm just
Mm.
treated like a normal guy, processed with the
Yeah.
rest of the gang. But I knew that I lived in a friendly universe. Just echoes Albert Einstein's famous question, said the most powerful question you can ask in your lifetime. Yeah, not on a Sunday, not when you're bored, not after you watch Netflix, in your lifetime, is do you live in a friendly or hostile universe? Because that's a binary
Mm.
equation. And each of those two paths are going to lead somewhere very different. And one of them is a tunnel with no cheese. If you think you live in a hostile universe, then you are naturally going to be assessing things through threat, through fear, through self-preservation. You're going to be egocentric out of a need for survival, as opposed
Yes.
to ethnocentric out of a need to support, care, contribute. And again, I wasn't just out there trying to kiss, suck ass or anything like that. It was about being able to spot opportunities to add value where my skill set would have a certain place that could help. And I've got to be honest. I mean, I spent 15 years working with Tony around the world in events and seminars doing psychotherapeutic intervention with people that I think were a lot more crazier than the ones I met in prison.
I could totally see that. Thank you, Peter. Tell me, where can people find you?
I'm easy to find. Again, petersagecom is my website. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I put a lot of value out there as much as I can at petersage007. And
Yes.
there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. I obviously have some programs that range at different levels for people if they want to take it a little further, but I try as much as I can to put as much value for free content out of there, or say even giving the book away, to try to help as many people right now, because that's what's going to get us through this current situation globally is more people trying to become the best version of themselves, more people becoming the example, not the warning. And I think together we can all learn from the road that I travel as much as other people can learn from the roads that you individually travel. And if we can do that and make the world a little bit better place, then that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Peter.
No, my pleasure.
So this is Peter's gratitude and emotional transformation exercise. It consists of 3 questions and 1 exercise. The key is to keep the answers as short as possible. This forces us to stay limited to the facts only and filter out the quote-unquote story. Of course, it is the story we tell ourselves about what happened that generates most of the negative emotions. Keeping our answers as factual and story-free as possible, therefore, helps us to be objective without having our feelings hijacked. Question 1. What actually happened? Answer. I got an 18-month sentence for contempt of court. Remember, facts only. Again. List as many reasons as I can as to why I can be genuinely grateful that this experience or event has happened. Note, this only works with at least 10 to 15 minimum. That can seem hard to go after them, but here they are. Here's mine. 1, I get to work with and make a lasting difference to those in society who really need it. And from what I've seen so far, God knows they need it. 2, I get to test my interpersonal and intervention skills in one of the toughest environments I've ever faced. 3, I get to be a real-life secret agent of change. 4, I not only get a chance to face the test of walking my talk, but also the opportunity of gaining insights and distinctions over and above any planned learning in a classroom. 5, I get to really trust life and the flow of the river, knowing it will always care for me as long as I practice non-resistance and focus on serving others and the greater good.